to be educated, but I'm so frustrated.
Hubert Eaves III. We're going into that last segment so you can learn exactly where D-Train evolved from. Him and James D-Train Williams and how they got to those songs and stuff like that. And all of the information that you want to know about these guys are going to be in the description. And enjoy this interview and just sit down talking with Hubert Eaves III. You got your keyboard. You're going from M2May. And I know there's a little story. James is basically fresh out of high school. He's got a friend, Will Downing. I assume you met Will first and you were doing some stuff with him and he bought D-Train to you. So you tell me what happened.
Yeah, because my son was at Erasmus High School. He was a freshman and they were having a talent show. So I went to the talent show and that's where I heard Will Downing. And back in those days, Will was sounding a bit like Al Jarreau, which I thought was
Luther too.
Yeah, and Luther. But really, when I was impressed with him because for a young dude to have been exposed or putting out the jazz elements that he was
that level.
Yeah, at that level, I said, hey man, who was this dude? So anyway, I met him and I met, but he was the only one I met at that point, right? So anyway, he called me later and said, Mr. Eaves, I'm working on this song, and I want to know if you'd be interested in help me produce it. And I said, oh, well, let me listen to it. Let me see what you got. Let me see what it is. So he had this song, and it was like he was trying to make a gospel dance song, and at the time, it was incomplete, and the idea and so forth. So I was trying to convince him that either let's go dance or make it a gospel. Don't confuse the two because of based on what he had. Not that it couldn't have been done, but based on what he had. So I just made a decision that let's go with making it just a dance song. It was called, I think we renamed it called The Real Deal. Anyway, so I came in to help him produce it and help him to write it, and he did the vocals. After we put the track down, he said, well, I got my friend from high school that I want to get to come in and do backgrounds with me. And I said, okay, cool. So we scheduled another section at another point, and he brings in James D-Train. So he introduces me to him as D-Train. I said, oh, D-Train, okay.
So they were already calling him D-Train.
They were already.
I know you got it from football. Okay.
So I said D-Train. So why did they call you D-Train? And Will said, oh, because they say when he hits you as a football player, he was on the team, it feels like you're being hit by the D-Train. So I said, oh, okay, I got to remember that. So anyway, he started doing the backgrounds on the song. And when he went into that gospel feel of everything, see, I had already had the tracks done to You're the One for Me. Right. I was looking for a singer. And when I heard his voice, I was like, "Oh my God, what do we have here?" So I said, "Hey man, listen, bro, would you be interested in coming to my house and I'm going to play this track for you and see what you come up with?" And he said, "Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, let's see." And so I invited him over. He was 19 at the time. And I guess I'm around 30, I've already been through, productions and so forth. And so anyway, he comes over. All I had was, I'll stand up on a cloud and shout out loud.
Yeah.
So that's all I had. I said, hey man, this is all I got. But the music was all done. Right. So once he heard that, he was like, okay. He said, you got a pen? Let me have a pen and pencil, because he gets excited when he wants to write. And that's what I love about him, man, because working with him in the studio, we give and take with each other. We pull and push. If he does something, then I can say, ooh, okay, I'll see you and I'll raise you one. And then he'll come up with something else and then raise me one. And I'll be like, oh man, so I could do this here. So we work like that. And so once we started working like that and he started writing and he wrote most of the lyrics on You're the One for Me, other than that first line. And the other lines, the only thing I would have to say is, oh yeah, this will work. Well, maybe if we say this a little different.
Guiding.
but he
Got
wrote
it.
it, guide him, yeah. But
Right.
that's him. And what's that stuff at the end where he says,
With the love I have
"The
inside.
love I have inside of me."
Yeah.
Said
I mean, as a musician and a singer, back in those days, I knew just where that was coming from. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. A little bit of the church, a little bit of the practice room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A little bit of the street in it. You know what I mean? But he was definitely going off.
But he was singing. This wasn't written, of the original song. He was singing.
Ad-libbing.
He was singing. He got excited. Ooh, give me a pen, give me a pencil. And then he said, "Hold up a minute." And he said, because he wanted to surprise me with it. And so he said, "Okay, roll the tape." And then he was, "With the love I have inside of me, we could turn this world around." I said, "What?"
That was hot, man. That was the part.
Yeah. That, working with D was probably like I used to always say, if God was to bless me with a voice, it would be that one. And that's why
But you do have we ain't gonna pretend that you have zero voice, but I know what you're saying. D-Train, he's hyped and he's got a powerful. I remember back at the time, like I said, when that song came out, I was around his same age, because I never knew when we were playing in bands. I was just learning how to play, and like I told you in the past that I learned to do what we did with synthesizers and drum machines and stuff by watching what you guys did. So at that time, I was about 16, 17 or something like that, or close to 18 years old when that came out, and I was just getting in band. And by the time I got a year or so later, the song was still hot, y'all. It was still baking, you know what I mean? So we were playing live bands in my early 20s and stuff like that. We lost a guitar player, and we had a show coming up. Somebody walked out, and we just played nothing but synthesizers and drum machine. And two of the songs were The One For Me and Keep On, along with some other stuff that we was pulling out. But we knew those songs right there that we could keep a crowd rocking, because the song was hot at that time. And today, because they got the D-Train Hustle. I think I put that in another video of mine. I forget which one it was. They got something called as of 2025. You got to you know anything about that? About the crew.
Check this out. Speaking of the D-Train Hustles, Kiki and Deli, that's the two lines there. They will be here Friday in my studio. And we are going to dance. I'm going to learn the D-Train Hustle. Now, hopefully I won't be able to kick no lamps over or knock over or kick one of them. But
so if you're seeing this video and you haven't seen them do that, look at that stuff, go to his channel and see the stuff that he's talking about. Whether you see it before or after, make sure you check that out, because I definitely will myself. Them doing the D-Train Hustle, that's going to be hot. You know what I mean? And we're going to Hubert Eaves channel. Yeah, and we're going to see it there, because we don't want to be typing nothing in and then it take you to somebody else's channel. We want to take it right to what he's talking about. And also, if you haven't seen it by now, also on that channel, we're talking about the making of D-Train. This is where me and Hubert had an opportunity to get to know each other from, is the making of that video where he shows exactly how he made and what instruments he used to make that song, You're the One For Me. The instruments and exactly how I did it. So you can find that on his channel too. Make sure you check it out. I'm telling you, I've done several videos on this channel talking about him. You're not going to do any better than to actually go there and see what this guy is actually showing that happen. We're not going to do that here. You're going to do that on his channel, and that's where you check it out after you watch what we're doing here. So you did that song with him. Where the lyrics come from? We used to always say, and I joked about it in my video, bust down south, we said busting up on a cloud. Have you heard that before? People
I've heard bust up on a cloud, bust a nut on a cloud.
And all kinds of stuff. So in your mind, what was your mind when that thought came to your mind for that record?
What got me was that's the only line that I actually wrote.
Right.
That was the first line I had. So I knew better than anybody, including James, that, it was, I'll stand up on a cloud and shout out loud, because I had that before I even knew before it was even called "You're the One for Me."
You have some type of epiphany or some type of big thing in your mind that just made you come up with that?
I was having fun. You know, if you can stand up on a cloud and shout out loud,
The world can hear you.
yeah, that's right. You must love
And
this
that was the
girl. You
message.
must love, yeah, it's a special woman.
And then when he comes back and does those the words to fit it, looking like the whole song was written at one time. If you look at the way, if you take the intro words that you got, and then you take the rest of the words in the song, and like you said, he sat down and wrote from what you gave him to work with. It matched perfectly, like the song was written like that from the very beginning. It doesn't sound like the words were forced. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and even the introduction where I played well, actually we played together the slow part. I remember after the song was done, I remember I would get these, I've always been like this. It's what do you call it, where you can
Premonitions.
yeah, and I heard his voice saying, with the love I have inside of me, we can. And I kept hearing his voice, and I would play these chords, and I would like, oh man, we got to put this in. Because
I never heard that. I mean, it's on some of the video guys you can check out on YouTube, the intro part of it. But I back in the day, I don't think I heard that until much later. It wasn't on the version I heard.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember what version it's on, but
because of course back then everything had several different versions and whatnot.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't hear that the harmonies and stuff that he did until much, in the piano part that you laid down until much later and whatnot.
I also mentioned that my man Francois Kevorkian, he was the guy who mixed the record. So
Prelude Records.
Prelude Records, yeah, and he was the one who heard it first. When I was shopping that project around to different companies, there were companies who actually rejected the song because they thought it was either too fast, or one company actually told me that they wanted to take James' voice off and put a female that was on their label to do the song.
It was that vicious back in them days. I know what you're saying.
No.
And I was about 8 to 10 years behind you as far as starting working in the studio, because I started working when I was young in my 20s, but I didn't really get down to places like Criteria in Miami until like late 87. But it was dog eat dog, and they were trying to do whatever it takes to get them a hit, and they weren't so concerned about you getting a hit. They was worried about them getting a hit, and they were willing to do it at it. They put somebody on, take somebody off, or whatever they could do if you let them. If you just stand your ground and have some standards, they take your song and change the lyrics, the word, the music, whatever you'd allow them to do. You know what I mean?
Well, let me give you an interesting story. Miles Davis even tried to do it. And Miles Davis, when we did Something's on Your Mind, and I can say this because he even mentioned it in his book. Mm-hmm. When they came to me and said that they wanted to do Something's on Your Mind, and they wanted me to clear it, they said that Miles wants some credit because he added something to it, and they said that he wanted some writer's credits. And I said,
song?
I don't give writer's credits just because, I said, then I said, wait a minute, let me just hear it. Let's see what we're talking about first. So they sent me the song, and then when they sent it to me, I listened to it. He had 16 bars that he added to the front of the song. And for that, he wanted some writer's credit. And when I heard it, I said, that's just an intro.
Yeah, to my song.
That's just an introduction to my song. You didn't change and all that. So it was kind of his management pushing him to do that, really. So then, I got back to him. I said, no, that's an introduction. I'm not giving up. No writers for that. So then they came back, but fast forward, he did the song and came out, and no problem. Miles wrote in his book that he truly respected me for holding my guns on that, because he knew I was right.
I mean, from what I know, you got some morals and you got your head on straight about business when it comes down to it. I've everything that I know about you is all about, hey, there's a right and a wrong. And there are a lot of people in this music business that don't think, it doesn't take much for them to get, what's the word? Shady. You know what I mean? Some people stay right or wrong no matter what's going on, and they try to do the right thing in every situation. I mean, it gets tough, but but some people quickly will get shady on you in this business. You know what I mean?
Well, what I found too is, I had to learn too. It depends on what you learn and what information you have. And in my earlier days, I had different information. My understanding was, if depending on who you are, you use that leverage to take, right?
Mm.
Publishing, credits and so forth. And I was taught that. I mean, I saw that, and I said, "Oh, so that's what you're supposed to do?" And I remember I tried that one time, and I got caught. I tried it with a record company. They sent a singer to me and said, "We want you to work with this singer." So we wrote a song together. And I said, "Well, since she's a nobody, I'll just put it in my publishing name." And so I'm thinking that's the way you do it. That's the way I was taught. And so when we get back to the record company, they said, "Hubert, who do you think you are?" I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "You can't take the publishing from this. She wrote the song, half of it is hers and half of it is yours." I said, "But I thought, no, it ain't about what you think. This is how it is." And blah, 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 blah. And I said, "It makes sense. I wouldn't want nobody to take from me, but I just thought that's what you do, because that's what I would."
Because it has been done for years and years and
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
All that
that's
stuff back in the Motown days and way before that, people were doing stuff like this, snatching up other people's stuff. And I mean, it still goes on today. You know what I mean?
Well, that's when I stopped. That's when I said, "Okay, I got it. I got it. No, no problem." That was many, many years ago.
So, Keep On.
Keep On.
What's the inspiration for Keep On? Love
Oh,
that song. A lot of people love that song.
that's a deep one for me, man.
Let's start with the lyrics.
That's a whole separate thing. I can tell you this: that was divinely inspired.
Okay, so it was divinely inspired. So all those songs were hot, and like I said, the bed of all of that stuff was the drum machine. And from what you've told me, Howard King on drums and stuff like that. What's your favorite drum machine? Because I know you're using that. What was that?
Man, yeah, that was Electro Harmonix back then.
Yeah, and that wasn't a drum machine per se.
No, not like what drum machines are today.
Yeah.
No, it was considered a beat machine because it only had one beat for rock, one beat for polka, one beat for, whatever the other genres. But you had to deal with that one beat and just make it feel funky coming from you.
What'd you think about that 808 at the time?
Yeah, I love the 808, man. There's no question. It's one of a kind. I've had almost every drum machine there was, from going back. I've been doing this stuff for 50 years now.
Yeah.
So I've seen them all, and I've had most of them. I still have my Akai MPC 60, which is one of the first drum machines that came from Akai. I also have one of the newer ones, Live 3, which I haven't really gotten into yet. Most of the drum machines, I've used drum machines basically just to get me started, just to get me
right.
That I can work. But then I always like to bring in a drummer, even if I use the drummer with the drum machine, because there's nothing like a live drummer.
Oh, definitely. Back in the late 80s, I was more like a SP 1200 man. You know what I mean? The first song I did was on SP 1200. I didn't like the 808. I didn't like the sound of the. I thought it was too unrealistic. Not that SP 1200 was better, but I thought it was too fat, too that cowbell sounded too much like. It didn't sound like a real cowbell. Drum machines was always kind of like where I started at, but when I had some failures in some shows where I depended on that SP 1200 and a few other drum machines, and some power went out in the middle of a show, and I learned my lesson about that right there. Ain't nothing better than a live drummer. If they got to play together, they play together. If you want to get that studio sound or whatever, but one thing about it, I will never base my whole show off a sequencer and a drum machine like I did at that time. I learned a hard lesson about that.
Yeah, it's also like I remember doing a show with gospel singer. And we would open up and we did a show with her, and so she brought a tape that she was going to use to sing along with on the concert. And for some reason, the tape broke. So everybody was getting nervous. Everybody's like, "Oh no, because she was the featured artist," and so she was. Everybody got nervous, and at that point, it was like, "What do we do? What do we do?" She sat down, walked over to the piano, and played live.
Ain't nothing better.
And killed them. And see, to me, it's got to be about the bass. You got to have your bass. You know, if you play keyboards, you should have at least some knowledge of the piano, so that if the electricity goes out, or if you got a drum machine and your whole set depends on the electricity of using a drum machine,
you're gonna be crap.
You got a set of drums up there. Somebody should know how to play drums.
I learned. It's just that one time I was just telling you about that the whole show, we had sequences lined up. We had drums, electric drums, and everything was dependent on that electronic equipment, and the power went out and no one was prepared to go acoustic. And I learned my lesson right there. Being able to play acoustic matters. And if you ain't playing acoustic, you're gonna look like a fool. Like you said, your girl went and jumped on that piano. I've had to do that many times, jump on acoustic piano just to finish up a show. You know what I mean? The electronic equipment is the basis of a lot of what you did and whatnot. But I know you can play. I didn't know you played drums. Tell me real quick about that.
Yeah, when I was a youngster in my teens, I was playing piano. In the groups. But it got to the point when we would do gigs and dances, you could never hear the piano. And the pianos that you had to play, some old uprights, notes would be broken, or they wouldn't be they weren't in tune, and you had all kinds of issues with them. And so I would always get frustrated. And then by the time the gig was over, I'd walk over to the drums, and I would just take my frustration out. I would ask the drummer, "Can I just sit down and play?" And I just always had a feel for drums. So much so that the drummer in one particular band said, "Hey man, you know what? You ought to be playing drums." And I said, "Yeah, oh man, I appreciate that, but I don't even have drums." He said, "Well, you know what? I'm a school teacher, man, and I don't need this. You can take my drums." And I said, "But I can't afford your drums, man." He said, "Don't worry about it. Just pay me $5 a month, and you can take these drums." And that's how I got started. Now, I was never a great drummer in terms of, didn't have all them chops and all of that.
Right.
But what I had was
chops don't make people listen.
Yeah, I knew how to make people dance, man. And I loved doing it. I used to love playing drums and watching people on the dance floor. And I used to love to watch to see who was the outstanding dance, person on the floor. Because sometimes, when you see a large crowd, somebody's going to be the star of the show. And I used to, if I could see it, I used to love that because it would inspire me to really lay it in there.
Also, people don't know that you sing a little bit, because I didn't know you sang a little bit.
Hey man, I've worked with D-Train, Stephanie Mills. I wrote 8 songs with Luther Vandross for Whitney Houston. These are singers. You know what I'm saying?
Well, your strong points, that's all you needed, your strong point. So anyway, you did this song, D-Train, Keep On, and then you moved on and stuff like that. Let me ask you, I'm going to do a quick lightning round before we wrap this up for right now. What's on the horizon for you right now?
I'm working on I got a new single that I just finished with a surprise guest who's a Grammy-winning singer, female, and I don't want to go any
deeper. You don't want to mention it?
Yeah, but it's mastered, it's ready to go,
okay.
And that's coming soon. And I'm doing some remixes, of one or two of the songs from my album that I said, oh man, I could remix this. I think I could make this even better. And here's the thing, because now I'm not affiliated with a record company, I don't have to go on
that game.
I'm my own label. I'm my own,
Ain't nothing better.
Yeah, I decide what I want to put out and what I want to record and all that. Not that I got it like that. Not that I'm making a killing financially, but I'm doing what I love to do, man. And I'm going to keep doing that. That's why I said keep on. I'm going to keep on.
You get to a certain age and a certain status or a certain mindset where you'll take your chances as yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, before we run out of time here and stuff, I want to run through so the viewers can get to know you a little bit better. I'm going to hit you with like 10 quick lightning round questions that require short answers, or however you want to answer them, so they know a little bit. First of all, what song did you have something that you had something to do with that you thought was underrated?
There's one called "The Hustle and Bustle of the City."
Okay.
And one of the reasons why I'll just say this right quick is if you go to like halfway in towards the end, there's some stuff that James D. Train did that he did right on the spot. That every time I hear it, man, it's just so inspiring and it's so funky that I just like, oh man, people need to hear this. I got some plans, but people need to hear that.
Okay, we're in the lightning round, so hit me real quick. One line. What advice would you give to the young producers right now?
Don't let the machines tell you what to do and decide which way to go. You tell them what to do. You're in control. That's what I would say. Okay,
so now we're gonna go to some more personal things real quick. One line. What's your favorite food?
Depends on what day it is. Probably jerk chicken.
Jerk chicken. Yeah, you ain't wrong. What's your favorite movie?
Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy and Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights, good choice on that one too. What's your favorite color?
Red.
Okay. Any specific reason?
I just always liked red. That was
the color that we. Yeah. And okay. What's your favorite cologne, or what cologne would come?
I don't wear cologne.
Okay, you don't wear cologne.
I'm allergic to.
Okay, all right. And the man ain't saying he don't wear deodorant. He's just saying he don't wear cologne, y'all.
No, I wear deodorant now. Unscented.
Unscented. Okay. Favorite vacation spot?
Oh, I would have to be Ghana.
Ghana?
Yeah, me and my wife went to Ghana, and that was nothing like that. I mean, I've been to Hawaii and all those, Europe and all that, but Ghana.
What instrument do you wish you could have today? If you can have an instrument from any time period, if you can get your hands on that instrument, what piece of equipment that you wish you had right now?
I would say a Steinway grand piano.
Okay, you wish you had your hands on a Steinway. Okay, that's a tough thing.
I'm sorry, baby. It's okay. Don't worry.
Don't offend the axe there. What place would you want to go before for your last days on this planet?
Egypt.
You want to go to Egypt?
Yeah.
Would you like to go over there and play?
Sure. I would play there, but I would be more interested in seeing
the sights and what is part of Africa, and I think we all should go if we ever get a chance. And I'm hoping the viewers enjoyed this run with you and sit down with you. Yeah, man, I hope y'all enjoyed that, man. That was a thorough look at who that man is, Hubert Eaves III, the music that he dealt with, and the bands and the groups and everything that you should want to know about him. Make sure you look in the description to see the links and the places where you can go support the stuff that he's working on. Make sure you check out his channel. And I appreciate you for coming to this channel and checking out what Mr. Mindset does on the Music Mindset channel. And I hope you'll be here to tune in next time. Thanks a lot, guys.